A crazed fan attacked the movie premiere. They waved sticks and knives around. Instinctively, I shielded my actor husband. But he pulled me to shield his first love, Zara. In the chaos, I was pushed off the stage by the frenzied fans. I, who had made a name for myself as a dancer, broke my left leg and ankle. As I was being sent to the hospital crying by the director and colleagues, my husband stopped my bed. He shouted, "Save Zara first. If anything happens to her, I'll make you pay." The doctor angrily fought for my bed. "This lady only has minor scratches, but she has a fractured lower leg." I endured the excruciating pain in my left leg and shook my head gently. "Let's end it here. Kevin, 10 years of acquaintance, 3 years of secret marriage, let's end it here." 1. "Agatha, stop playing the victim. It's just a little scratch on your leg." Kevin scoffed. With a rough tug, he tossed me aside like a rag doll. I hit the floor hard, the pain in my leg intensifying. A large bump had formed on my shin, and it was bent at an odd angle. Yet, Kevin was gently laying his first love, Zara, on my emergency bed. "Don't worry, Zara, you'll be fine," he soothed. Zara had a shallow cut on her arm and she looked pale, clutching Kevin's sleeve tightly. "Kevin, I think I can't lift my arm. What if I can't play the violin anymore?" The worry in Kevin's eyes was almost overflowing. "Don't be afraid. If you can't play the violin, I'll never play the piano again. I'll always be with you. And I won't let those who hurt you go unpunished." The director who came with us spoke anxiously. "President Kevin, Agatha is a dancer. Now that her leg is injured, if we delay any longer, she might not be able to dance anymore." Kevin glanced at me disdainfully. "Can't you see she's faking it? She always uses this trick. I'm not going to fall for it again." The doctor who was examining me widened his eyes and scolded. "Can't I see if she's faking it? Get out of the way, don't delay me from treating the patient." Kevin finally walked towards me, but stepped on my ankle. "Agatha, I really underestimated you. You're such a good actress, why haven't you won an award? Last time you used this trick to frame Zara and force me to marry you in front of Grandpa. I won't fall for it again." Everyone around was staring in shock. They didn't expect Kevin, who had been shipping with Zara, to be married to me. Nor did they expect him to treat his wife like this. I looked up at Zara. She gave me a half smile from afar, just like Kevin had whispered to me when he pulled me in front of her. "So what if we're married? Kevin only has me in his heart." It was obvious that Zara had won. The doctor who was examining me was about to help me up and rush into the operating room, but I stopped him. "Let's stop here. Save the fans who were trampled on first." I turned to leave, but my whole body ached from falling off the stage, and I stumbled and fell again. The broken bone pierced my skin and my blood snaked across the floor, but it didn't move Kevin at all. He watched coldly from the side. "Stop acting, no one wants to watch. Go home and make pigeon soup for Zara, she's injured and needs to be well nourished." Usually, when he asked me to do things like this for Zara, I would endure it to stay by his side. But now, I wouldn't. I put aside the pride of a popular star, ignored the people in the operating room door who were filming with their phones, and crawled out of the operating room sideways. As I collapsed at the door of the operating room, I looked back and saw Kevin and Zara holding hands tightly. I took off the wedding ring that had always been around my neck and threw it into the trash can. 2. "Doctor, there's someone unconscious and bleeding here." But I was ice cold, and the blood loss was making me lose consciousness. Hearing this, Kevin walked out of the operating room. With a sneer, he said, "Officer, she's an actress, and she's carrying a blood pack. She's just doing this to get my attention." The police officer's eyes widened. "Look at her leg, how can this be acting?" Kevin had never been yelled at like this before. He raised his foot and stepped directly on my broken leg. "Agatha, stop pretending. You're making a fool of yourself in front of the police." The intense pain stimulated me to sit up, unable to speak. Cold sweat blurred my vision. "This is ridiculous, doctor." The police officer was about to step over him to find a doctor to treat me. But Kevin stepped in front of him. "Officer, she's my wife, and no one else needs to get involved in our business. Besides, as you can see, she's already up." Lying on the cold floor, I closed my eyes in despair. "Kevin, you know how important my legs are to a dancer. Just consider this a payback. If I can survive this, we'll never see each other again in this life or the next." Around me was the sound of the police arguing with Kevin to save me. At this moment, Zara came out. "Agatha, you're wasting so much of the police's time. Get up quickly, I don't care about you hiring people to cause trouble at the premiere." Kevin's eyes suddenly softened with tenderness. "Zara, you're so kind. Since you dared to ruin our premiere, you should pay the price." Then he turned cold and ordered his bodyguard. "Take my wife home, and no one is allowed to see her without my permission." The police were shocked. "Are you trying to illegally imprison her in front of me?" Kevin waved his hand. "How can this be imprisonment? This is a matter between husband and wife, and the police can't control it." With that, 2 strong bodyguards roughly dragged me away. The pain from my wound tearing open again made me scream. At that moment, my senior Jerome rushed over. Seeing my miserable state, he instantly clenched his fist and swung at Kevin. "Kevin, you're crazy. Do you want Agatha to die?" Jerome was my graduate school senior and now a well-known martial arts actor. More police who had arrived in a hurry had also controlled the bodyguards. He picked me up and placed me on the emergency bed, rushing towards the operating room. Kevin was still blocking the door of the operating room. "Don't take her away, she designed the fan to cause trouble at the premiere and injured Zara, and she hasn't been punished yet." Jerome looked at the unharmed Zara and immediately erupted. I lay on the emergency bed, my heart aching so much that I couldn't feel it. "Kevin, we've known each other for 10 years, and we've been secretly married for 3 years, can't you just let me go? Do you have to ruin my career before taking my life?" At that moment, Kevin suddenly rushed in front of me. "Fine, if you don't believe me, I'll let you see if she's really acting." He pulled a self-defense knife from his body. He approached me with a sneer. "Agatha, if you keep pretending, I'll stab you. If you don't want to be stabbed, get up and run." With that, he raised his hand and stabbed at me. 3. I know that with my blood loss, if I get stabbed again, I'll definitely die. I thought. But I really didn't have the strength to dodge. "Kevin, just kill me. Consider it repaying your debt," I said coldly. When I was a child, Kevin found me lost in the mountains after a car accident and took me home. Kevin's grandfather took pity on me for losing both of my parents at once and raised me as his own granddaughter. Even if I repaid Kevin's family with one leg and my future, it wouldn't be enough. "What?" Kevin was stunned, and his stabbing motion slowed down. The police took advantage of the moment to subdue him, and the doctor quickly wheeled me towards the operating room. My last bit of strength dissipated, and I fell into a deep darkness. When I woke up, I was already bandaged. The nurse told me that I had also broken 2 ribs, and my left shin and ankle were fractured. But due to the stampede at the premiere, the hospital was overcrowded, so I could only be arranged in the corridor. My life was saved. It's just my leg. "Miss Agatha, if you do a lot of rehabilitation, there's still hope of walking normally," the nurse said. "You've suffered multiple injuries, and it's been delayed for so long. It might be difficult to dance in the future." The nurse, who was also my fan, shed tears first when she told me that I might not be able to dance anymore. Before I had time to comfort her, she was called away by someone else. As soon as the nurse left, Kevin found me. "Agatha, Zara was right, you were just pretending. How could you be arranged in the corridor if your leg was really broken? The hospital can't cooperate with you to act, right?" I lifted my eyelids but didn't look at him. "Is there something you need?" My attitude was too perfunctory. He was stunned for a moment and frowned. What's your attitude? You not only hurt Zara, but you also hired people to cause trouble at the premiere. Now Zara can't participate in the next roadshow and she was filmed. Your fans are all making a fuss online, and Zara is crying. Get up now and apologize to Zara, and go live to admit what you did. He pulled me off the bed, and my casted leg slammed onto the ground with a thud. I was sweating profusely from the pain. Kevin, don't be crazy, I just had surgery. But he scoffed disdainfully. Stop pretending, why aren't you in the ward after the surgery? He kicked my casted leg again. You're quite good at pretending. I couldn't bear it anymore. Kevin, I didn't do anything. I won't apologize to Zara, and I won't admit to something I didn't do. You saved my life, I'm very grateful, and 13 years, plus my leg, have paid it all back. But what does this have to do with Zara? Kevin's face was as dark as a storm cloud. He kicked my casted leg again. I was so dizzy from the pain that I almost fainted. Why does it have nothing to do with Zara? If you hadn't acted in front of Grandpa, how could Zara have gone abroad for 3 years, and how could I have married you? And you deceived Grandpa into acquiring Zara's family's company, and Zara's parents were forced to death. It's all your fault. I was stunned. So that's why he married me but never treated me well. At that time, Kevin's grandfather asked him to choose between the company and Zara, and he chose the company and married me as his grandfather had arranged. But he couldn't let go of Zara and kept her on the side. I sneered. Kevin, you're the fool who's been played. Have you ever wondered why Grandpa Kevin liked a picked-up orphan like me but not Zara who came from a good family? Kevin's eyes darkened. Isn't it because you've been instigating Grandpa? I shook my head. Grandpa has been in the business world for many years and is known as the godfather of the film industry. How could he be instigated by an orphan like me? Kevin was stunned and was about to speak when Zara suddenly rushed to Kevin's side with tears in her eyes. Brother Kevin, save me, Agatha asked her fans to kill me. 4. Kevin was startled and quickly pulled Zara into his arms. Stroking her hair, he softly comforted her. Don't be afraid, Zara, I'm here. Turning around, he tried to pull me up from the ground again. With a hard tug, a sharp pain shot through my ribs, and my vision went dark. But Kevin acted as if he hadn't seen anything, and he picked up my phone to start a live stream. Agatha, are you addicted to acting? Do you think you can deceive me again and I'll still let you go? Kevin mocked me. Suddenly, a shadow enveloped us. Jerome's voice and his fist came together. Kevin, are you crazy? Can't you see the blood flowing from the cast? Kevin was knocked aside. He then counterattacked Jerome. Are you going to continue acting with her? She's faking it. But my blood had already seeped into a pool on the ground, and a few drops had splashed onto Zara's snow-white skirt as they fought. Kevin's movements suddenly stopped. But then he seemed to be deceived again and kicked me harder. It's just a scratch, how could there be so much blood? You're not using a blood pack, are you? You've been scheming against me like this, and it makes me sick. You're not even a hair better than Zara. The medical staff and Jerome immediately pulled him away. The doctor cut open my hospital gown, and when he saw the blood-soaked cast, he was both anxious and angry. What are you doing? Her bones were just set, and they were also fixed with steel pins. Hurry up! Prepare the operating room. Kevin was stunned by the doctor's shout and murmured. It's just a scratch, how could it be real? The doctor picked up a handsaw and cut open my cast. The freshly sutured flesh flipped outward, revealing the hideous, protruding bone and misaligned steel pin. Jerome controlled him in the corner. Kevin, you've ruined her future and almost killed her. Are you satisfied now? Don't forget, Agatha is still the most promising star in your company. Kevin was still struggling. Impossible, those black fans must have been hired by her. Yes, she must be afraid that things will be exposed, and I will immediately divorce her, and you are all acting with her, aren't you? Zara, who was standing aside, saw that the situation was not good and immediately wanted to leave. "Brother Kevin, let's go. It doesn't matter if I suffer a little." A look of guilt appeared on Kevin's face. "Zara, don't worry, I'm here for you." Jerome sneered. Two idiots, a perfect match. Jerome stayed by my bedside until I entered the operating room. When I came out, he also found me a ward. Kevin was waiting in the corridor. Seeing Jerome pushing me over, he seemed relieved, but he still sneered. "So fast this time, you're not pretending, are you?" Jerome could no longer maintain his composure. "Agatha has been married to you for 3 years, has she ever had a good day? She lives worse than your maid, and she has to serve you and your mistress every day. She gave up her great future in dance to work for you at your company and willingly played second fiddle to you and Zara. She took good care of your grandfather with all her heart, and when your grandfather got Alzheimer's, he forgot even a good grandson like you, but he still remembered her. How much did she have to sacrifice? Where were you when your grandfather went missing? You were on vacation with Zara." Kevin's face darkened. "You dare mention my grandfather? If Agatha hadn't taken good care of him, how could my grandfather have gotten lost in the snow?" Jerome sneered. "Only you would believe Zara's story." Then he took out his phone, opened a video, and shoved it in Kevin's face. "The mystery of your grandfather's disappearance, even the GPS on his body was removed in advance, and only someone familiar could do it. So Agatha has been investigating. Take a good look at the video, and see how your Zara treated your grandfather." 5. The video was secretly recorded, and we can only see Zara's aunt playing mahjong. Kevin said, his voice flat. After Zara's family went bankrupt, Kevin had taken in her aunt at Zara's request, specifically to take care of Kevin's grandfather. Kevin watched the 3-minute video silently. It contained Zara's aunt's boasting and also mentioned the incident of his grandfather's disappearance. Unlike the animated expression of Zara's aunt in the video, Kevin's face grew darker and darker. When I woke up, Kevin was by my bedside, his eyes shining with surprise. "Wife, you're awake." He tried to grab my hand, but I instinctively dodged. "Hey, are you going to drag me away to take revenge for Zara again?" I mocked him. Kevin awkwardly retracted his hand, his eyes filled with deep guilt. "Agatha, I know you're angry with me. I misunderstood you before. As long as you forgive me, you can hit me or scold me. Are you thirsty? I poured you some warm water." I raised my hand to reject the water cup he handed me, but accidentally knocked it over. Water spilled all over him, but he stood up indifferently and said, it's okay, I'll pour another cup." Seeing his pathetic appearance, I felt no waves in my heart. "Let's get a divorce." Hearing my cold voice, Kevin turned to look at me sharply, but he accidentally poured hot water on his leg. Ignoring the burn, he put down the bottle and grabbed my hand again. "Wife, give me another chance. We won't get divorced. I know you might have difficulty walking in the future, but I'll never dislike you. I have money, we can go abroad for treatment, no matter how much it costs. We can also have a child and raise him together. Yes, you have money, but not everything can be bought with money." I interrupted him, and he looked at me helplessly. Just as he was about to make a few more excuses, Zara suddenly burst in. "Brother Kevin, why are you here with her? Didn't you say you were going to take me to meet the director today?" Seeing that Kevin didn't react, she simply hugged Kevin's arm and started to act coquettishly. "Brother Kevin, my arm still hurts so much. You must introduce me to a few resources, or I won't forgive you." Kevin gritted his teeth. "Zara, how dare you come here? The investigation results are out. Those black fans were the ones you met when you were working as a welfare girl abroad. They came for you. Why did you lead me to misunderstand Agatha?" Zara was stunned, and tears welled up in her eyes expertly. "Brother Kevin, I don't know them at all. I had no choice but to be a welfare girl. You forgot, it was Agatha who ruined my family, and how could I make a living without being a welfare girl?" I spent 3 desperate years abroad, and I survived only by thinking of you. You can't doubt my sincerity for you." Turning to me, she said, "Agatha, you've already separated me from brother Kevin for so long. Are you still going to spread rumors about me?" I was shocked. Had Zara always been so black and white? Kevin seemed to finally wake up from this blatant slander and slapped her hard. "Damn it, get out! Don't disturb Agatha's recovery." Zara covered her face in disbelief. "Kevin, you hit me? I'll never forgive you." With that, she turned and ran. Kevin turned to me again and tried to continue his previous fantasy. But I interrupted him bluntly. "You delayed my treatment and you were the one who hurt me." Kevin suddenly became helpless. "Wife, give me another chance. I was just deceived by Zara. I'll introduce you to resources. Can you be the female lead in the next movie?" I sneered. Only someone as incapable as Zara would beg others for resources. I'm different. I have a national first-class dance certificate. 6. The bone injury was slow to heal. It took me nearly 4 months to complete my rehabilitation, and now I can barely walk without crutches. Kevin didn't take any new jobs either. He finished all his company business in a rented house near the hospital. Jerome mocked him a lot for coming here every day. But Kevin endured it all without a word. It was all to see me again. But I didn't see him. Jerome could see everything I was going through. While peeling an apple for me, he warned me. "Give up on love and cherish your life." I smiled at him. "Don't worry, I've already asked him for a divorce." Jerome nodded his chin at the hesitant figure outside the door. "He doesn't seem like he'll easily agree to a divorce." "It's okay, many people took videos that day, and I have plenty of evidence. My fans also support my divorce." On the day I was discharged, Jerome went to the set and didn't accompany me. As soon as I reached the hospital entrance, Kevin arrived in a hurry. His eyes lit up as he looked at me. "Wife, I've already terminated my contract with Zara and notified the industry to completely ban her. How about it? Are you a little happier?" But I was calm inside. "Kevin, I don't care about your business. If you give me your signed divorce agreement now, I might be happy." Kevin was stunned for a moment, then he put on an injured look. "Wife, we've known each other for 13 years, and I saved your life. In this world, we are the only family to each other." Before he could continue his heartfelt plea, his phone rang. He wanted to hang up irritably, but accidentally clicked on it. Zara's sobbing voice came through. "Brother Kevin, do you really have to be so cruel? Have you forgotten our vows? If you don't come to see me, I'll end my own life." I sneered. Kevin shouted into the phone. "If you want to jump, go ahead and jump, don't waste my time. I know everything you and your aunt did. You were jealous that Agatha had Grandpa's affection, and when you failed to frame her once, you took advantage of Grandpa's confusion and left him in the snow, and then framed her. You murderer, just wait for the police to arrest you." I didn't look at Kevin's performance anymore, and I got into the nanny car that had come to pick me up. Looking at Kevin from the rearview mirror, as he hung up the phone and chased after the car, I couldn't help but think of how he had chased my car when I was a child. When I was young, my parents and I went to the mountains to play, and it got dark very early. We were hit off a cliff by a truck that was driving tiredly. My parents died on the spot, and I was tightly protected in my mother's arms, only slightly injured. I couldn't remember anything, I just remember my mother telling me to run. In a daze, I ran farther and farther, leaving the towering smoke and flames far behind. As long as I ran fast enough, the nightmare couldn't catch me. With my head full of blood, I was picked up by Kevin, who was vacationing in the mountains. Kevin's grandfather felt sorry for my experience and decided to keep me, but I suffered from post-traumatic stress disorder and needed treatment abroad. When I left the manor, 12-year-old Kevin thought he was going to send me away and chased after my car crying. That small figure gradually overlapped with the present one. Since then, I have been following Grandpa Kevin to study abroad while receiving treatment. When I returned to China, Kevin already had Zara by his side. 7. The joys of youth don't count for much. I still remember that moonlit night, the little boy who, despite his fear, reached out to me. But I also heard him say to Zara the night before our wedding at his bachelor party, "Don't worry, Zara, I won't touch her. You're the only one in my heart." Perhaps I had given my heart to him as a youth, but that heart couldn't withstand Zara's to tears. "Miss, everything is packed as you instructed." The maid interrupted my thoughts. "This is the book you asked me to get for you. The other jewelry and clothes that can be sold have been sold, and those that can be donated have been donated." After the maid left, I opened Gone with the Wind. Inside, there was a letter from 12-year-old Kevin to me. His childish handwriting expressed his longing and encouragement for me who was abroad. I smiled and tore up the letter, scattering it from the balcony. I watched it drift away with the wind. Just like my love for Kevin. It had long since been blown away by the wind. When he found me driving, I was watching the last pieces of the letter float down. He picked it up in confusion and his pupils dilated when he saw the contents. "You still have these letters, Agatha, you still have feelings for me, don't you?" He hurriedly squatted down, trying to collect the pieces on the ground in a flustered manner. Supported by the maid, I slowly walked towards the nanny car. Ignoring the letters, he grabbed my arm and choked up, red-eyed. "It doesn't matter if the letters are gone, I can write more. Wife, believe me, I won't let anyone disturb our life again. Don't leave, I'll take you for treatment, can we have a good life?" It's ridiculous. How can a love that has been scattered by the wind be recovered? Jerome supported my other arm. "Agatha, it's time to go, or you'll miss the flight." Kevin tightened his grip. "Where are you going? How can I live without you? Who will take care of you?" He gripped my arm so hard that I frowned. Jerome pushed him away. "My junior sister, I will definitely take care of her." We got into the nanny car, leaving Kevin jumping in place. "Jerome, don't go too far. I haven't signed the divorce papers yet. We're not divorced. Wife, Agatha. Don't you want me anymore?" I didn't answer. Who abandoned whom first, does that need an answer? At a well-known orthopedic hospital in the United States, the doctor conducted a comprehensive assessment of my leg injury and believed that there was a high probability that I could dance again, but rehabilitation would be very painful. I'm not afraid, nothing is more painful than a life of darkness without a dream. It was dancing that helped me out of my trauma, and now I will dance for myself again in the darkness. The pain was worth it. 5 months later, I danced my first complete dance in the practice room again. Jerome, who had successfully entered Hollywood, knelt on one knee and kissed the back of my hand lightly. "Welcome back, my dancing king." 8. I feel a bit apprehensive about returning home, I said, sitting on the plane back to my homeland. I was returning this time to pay my respects to Kevin's grandfather and to participate in a domestic dance variety show. Along the way, Jerome gossiped to me to lighten my mood. "Agatha, you won't believe how miserable Zara is." "Zara! I will never forget the person who dragged me into the abyss." Jerome poured out all the gossip he had collected like pouring beans into my ear. After I left, she contacted her classmates abroad, wanting to quietly go abroad and perform abroad with her violin. But Kevin had already called the police, and coupled with her huge profits from being a welfare girl abroad, she was sure to face a huge fine and imprisonment. Unwilling to spend the rest of her life in prison, she sold the jewelry and car that Kevin had given her and tried to sneak out of the country like others. But she was caught by the police who had been ambushed at the checkpoint and was taken directly to the bureau. Her trial was even live-streamed, and the fact that she had bullied actors on the set was also exposed, and the internet was full of scolding for her. What a talented young violinist, a new rising star. How glorious she was at that time, and now how miserable she is. She also detailed how she instructed her aunt to treat Grandpa, and she framed you. Hearing about Grandpa, I thought of the kind old man again. That day, outside Grandpa's study, I heard the conversation between Zara's parents and Grandpa Kevin. They knelt in front of Grandpa and cried. Please save us, buy our company, and give Zara a place to live." Grandpa shook his head helplessly. "I can buy the company, but you must turn yourselves in. I won't cover up your illegal activities." They kowtowed to Grandpa to thank him and agreed to Grandpa's request. But they turned around and jumped off a tall building. They couldn't bear the consequences of breaking the law, and they didn't have the courage to face prison. Before I had time to feel sorry, I was blocked on the rooftop by Kevin and Zara. "Don't think I don't know. It was you who incited Grandpa to forcibly acquire Zara's family's company." Kevin's anger came out of nowhere. Zara also said to me with tears in her eyes, "Sister Agatha, I shouldn't have tried to compete with you for Brother Kevin, but you can't directly ruin my family. Agatha, you took my parents away from me. Agatha, I love Zara. I will never accept someone as cruel as you in my life." At that time, I knew that the boy I had deep in my heart had changed. But Grandpa's condition deteriorated, and he was conscious for very little time. He held my hand and told me, "The person I'm most worried about is Kevin. This child can't see his own heart, and I've spoiled him. Agatha, Grandpa begs you, help Grandpa take care of him. If you follow him, he will one day realize that he truly loves you. Agatha, why are your eyes red? Could it be that you feel sorry for Zara?" I shook my head and looked at Jerome. How could that be? What happened next? Zara actually met a group of ruthless people abroad. They even dared to attack the court's car while it was being transferred from the court to the prison, trying to rescue Zara. They were shot dead by the police on the spot. 9. Hearing that, I felt a sense of satisfaction. She killed Kevin's grandfather, caused a stampede among my fans, and broke my leg, almost ending my dance career. She deserved to die. At the airport, Kevin was waiting for me at the arrival gate with a bouquet of flowers. He had lost the glamour of a movie star, and his thin face was covered with stubble. When he saw me come out, his eyes lit up, and he hurried towards me, but stopped a short distance away. "Agatha, welcome back. Zara has already received the punishment she deserves. You're not angry with me anymore, are you? Come home with me, okay?" I just looked at him calmly. "Kevin, I'm back to see Grandpa. Sign the divorce agreement as soon as possible, and we'll be quits." Kevin frowned anxiously. "What do you mean by quits? How can we be quits? Didn't Grandpa ask you to take good care of me? How can you watch over me if we get divorced?" He reached out to grab me, but Jerome caught him. "Kevin, you agreed to fair competition. Now you see, Agatha just wants to divorce you." Kevin just looked at me painfully. "Agatha, don't you want me anymore?" Jerome threw his hand away, but he fell to the ground as if he couldn't support himself, curling up in pain. Seeing this, Jerome quickly raised his hands. "I didn't use much force, don't play victim." I walked over to Kevin, and Kevin's eyes lit up. As he spoke, he reached out to me. "Agatha, my leg hurts so much, the doctor said I have bone cancer." But I didn't reach out to help him as he expected, but squatted down and smiled at him. "Bone cancer? But your leg looks fine, there's not even a scratch on it. I know you're a good actor, and you even won the Best Actor award. It's a pity, this is the airport, no one wants to watch your performance." A year ago, Kevin's cold sarcasm to me was now returned to him in full. A tear rolled down his cheek, and he smiled bitterly. "So that's how it feels. I'm sorry, I should have believed you. I'm sorry. The image of me being thrown out of the operating room a year ago came rushing back to me. I wasn't knocked down by it, instead, I stood up straight and glanced at Kevin on the ground. "Who cares?" I raised my head and walked forward, without looking back at Kevin. 2 months later, I received a call from the hospital. He had died from bone cancer, and I was his only heir. The doctor told me that he was in a lot of pain when he died, vomiting blood profusely in the end, and his eyes lost all their light. The doctor also gave me a handwritten letter. I looked at the crooked to Agatha on the envelope and knew he must have written it with great pain. After hesitating for a long time, I was finally moved by the childish handwriting. The letter was earnest. In my most painful moments, heaven seemed to have mercy on me and let me go to a parallel world, where there was only you and me. We were as happy as we were when we were young. I played Liang Zhu, and you danced gracefully on my grand piano. Agatha, I wish we had met in this beautiful parallel world. In the next life, let me love you well. I snorted, wasting 2 minutes on a moment of softness. I lit the letter and watched it burn to ashes, watching it drift away with the wind. Teacher Agatha, your solo is next. Okay, I'm coming. I turned around and walked towards the world-class stage.